Hey, how you doing? It's DecepySwag, and today we got some news to talk about regarding SNK. If you're unaware, SNK has been pretty busy as of late, coming off the tail end of releasing Joe Higashi's trailer and providing figures in the community with early access to share their impressions of the character, including yours truly. They also released a new port of Fatal Fury Real Bout 2, once again collaborating with the gods of video game ports, Code Mystics. If you'd like to know more in regards to my first impressions of Joe Higashi and Save the Wolves, or my review of re-released Fatal Fury Real Bout 2, you can find those videos on my channel. Big thanks to SNK for giving me the opportunity for early access of both of those occasions. But that isn't really the topic of today's video. See, as great as all of that is, there was an additional announcement by SNK that I don't think is getting enough attention and is flying under the radar, and that's, well, it's just better if I show you this. During Tokyo Game Show, after the announcement of the new Fatal Fury Real Bout 2 port, SNK also announced something called NEOGEO Premium Selection. When you go to the webpage for it, you see this big spread of Neo Geo characters and games which reads the following. A definitive selection of Neo Geo titles reimagined to meet modern gaming needs. Legendary Neo Geo arcade titles return in an updated form, enhanced with brand new features. Immerse yourself in seamless online battles, a robust training mode, a content-rich gallery and jukebox, and more fresh additions. Play and prevail like never before. It's Neo Geo redefined. Prepare to be shocked once again by the meticulous polish only made possible by SNK. And then if you notice towards the bottom of the page it reads, "Stay tuned, titles will continue to be added. Be sure to check out the ever-expanding lineup." However, there is something to note here that it does say image for references only, not indicative of any future releases, which is SNK's way of saying basically, hey, just because you see all these different games on the screen and stuff doesn't mean they're guaranteed to port 100%, which is fair. They don't want to put themselves in a box and make empty promises. So now with all that said, putting into consideration not to get too excited, this is still fucking great news though. What SNK basically have done is announced to its community that, hey, we're going to reach into our library of Neo Geo titles and bring them into the modern age of gaming with features most likely the same as their most recent port of Real Bout 2 Fatal Fury. If you look at this page and really pay attention to what's here, there's a bunch of different titles that both myself and you all have been asking for over so many years. First that come to mind when I look at this is of course Kazuna Encounter. Then you see the Last Blade characters from World Heroes, Metal Slug, the Art of Fighting games, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe that's the King of Fighters 99 that's scrolling across the screen with plenty of other characters and titles that even I'm not aware of. Oh, also there's Neo Turf Master, which is dope. I'm happy to see that. Something that's really cool to see is that everything here isn't just fighting game related. There's non-fighting games presented as well, as I mentioned before, like Metal Slug, and I know that many of you will love a new Metal Slug title, and more specifically a new Metal Slug in the style of the classic side-scrolling games. This goes in line with SNK's goal of top 10 developer, which again is a far dream at this point, but them doing this with their Neo Geo catalog does help that cause. Curious thing here to note is, there's no mention of any kind about Arika's involvement. There's been no word of any new development since that announcement of SNK and Arika working together and bringing back SNK's non-fighting game titles, so I can't help but wonder that maybe this could be a part of it and they didn't mention Arika. But then again, if that's the case, of Arika being involved, you'd think this would be something not only including Arika's names, but having this be announced on Arika Twitter as well. A lot of unknowns right now. Another unknown is whether or not this means SNK and Code Mystics will be collabing on every port to come from this Neo Geo initiative. Granted, majority of the ports of SNK has come from collabs with Code Mystics, even though I do wish they also got to work on the KO13 Global Edition and Save the Wolves, but that's neither here nor there and that deserves their own videos from that topic. But the more I think about it, maybe what's happening is that when it comes to porting their older titles, SNK will be working with Code Mystics, and with bringing back their non-fighting games with newer titles, that's where SNK and Arika's partnership comes into play, essentially hitting things from both ends. A steady stream of ports of classic titles, while also brand new games in these older franchises of the non-fighting game variety, so a new Psycho Soldier, new Metal Slug, Neo Turf Masters, etc, etc. There's also the idea when it comes to certain games, if they'll be full-on collections or will we be getting individual titles like they did with Real Bout 2, and also how they go about deciding. As great as a port of Real Bout 2 is, there are folks within my community and Reddit and Twitter as well that wondered why not do a full-on Fatal Fury collection, and that's a fair question to ask, especially nowadays with how things are priced. Definitely want to get the most bang for your buck. What I like to see moving forward if possible is these things here. First, have these ports not only be multi-platform, but of course have crossplay between PC, PlayStation, Xbox, Switch 2, whatever it can play on correctly, and allow people to play with one another, allowing a bigger player base to intermingle with one another, and just frankly being more accessible to folks that don't game on PC or that may not own a console. Next is pricing, and this is kind of situational depending on what they do and include it with these ports, be it individual titles for full-on collections / bundles, and that leads into regional pricing being a must-have. And to my knowledge, Real Bout 2 seems to have regional pricing as well, so that's good. But definitely want to try and make things as appealing to consumers as possible with what we're getting for the price. Personally, like I said in my review, $20 for Real Bout 2 is something I'd buy, but I can understand someone wanting it to be a less of a price there, and if it was bundled with other Fatal Fury games, so I can't knock anybody for that. Content-wise, I'd say have a bigger gallery of art. Include what was included in the Real Bout 2 port with all the variations of art and advertisements from North America and Japan, which was amazing, but also include things like behind the scenes stuff, character sheets, sketches, art projects, and plannings of the stage and stuff. Even things as far as how the game mechanics would work or things that changed and went through trial and error. Things that fans really eat up and like to see. I think many folks, including myself, would like if SNK somehow made their own version of what Capcom has done with their fighting game collections. Depending on the games, if there's not really enough sequels, they could bundle them together. Perhaps like a sports collection or a giant Metal Slug collection with co-op online that's cross-platform. Lots of questions to be had, but I can say that all in all, I am happy to see SNK taking the initiative to reach into their catalog of games from this era that so many folks enjoy. I'll probably make a follow-up video about this and go more in depth about what I like to see, but I just wanted to give my initial thoughts on it all and share this news with the community. Also, at the time of this video, Event Hubs uploaded an article of one of their own, Dakota Dark Horse Hills, getting an interview with Real Bout Fatal Fury 2 producer and SNK's retro game development manager, Laurent Vernizzi. I pray that I said his name correctly. In regards to this recent port and the possibility of ports for post-Neo Geo games like the King of Fighters 11, for example, from the Atomic Wave era. So expect a video on that as well at some point. But as usual, that's all the time we have for today's video. Again, great news coming from SNK regarding them bringing back these classic games that many folks have fond memories of, and for those like myself that haven't ever gotten a chance to play them in the first place. Again, there are some things that need to be ironed out and asked as far as how bundles will go, which games picked, pricing, and what's all included to make the final price worth it, among other things. But again, it's something to look forward to. Now all that's left is to ask you all my favorite question, and that's, what are your thoughts? Did you ever expect SNK to start porting their Neo Geo titles, especially their non-fighting games? What Neo Geo games you feel should come next from this premium selection initiative and get some love? And finally, tell me what post-Neo Geo era games you feel should come back with a port from the Atomic Wave era. And I already know that Neo Geo Battle Coliseum is on some of y'all minds, and I'm right there with you, so don't worry. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see more, then please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more, and don't forget to tap that bell icon to be a part of the notification team so you never miss out on an upload. And while you're at it, let's try to get this video to 50 likes. Always appreciate it. Like I said though, that's gonna be it for me. Till next time, I'm DecepySwag. Later.